team coaches. This time we go to Colorado in the United States Air Force Academy. Coach Ryan Forrest, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm excited about this one. It's the first academy that I've gotten to speak to on the College Tour org here in this new series. So thank you very much for coming on. I mean, is Coach Kaz up in an airplane right now?
If he could be, he would be right now.
Okay, I didn't know if
he's pacing around his new house right now, just trying to figure out stuff to do.
Okay,
but
I didn't know if we sent him up there, and so we got you, which is what I wanted. So that's good.
Like you said in the tweet yesterday, he could get in here and talk for hours about the greatest school in the world. I'll give you the little snapshot of it.
When he tweets pictures of in the airplanes, that's him flying the airplane?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
He makes it seem like that's him flying the airplane.
So this is a funny story, actually. So places we go, more so in our league, the radio broadcasts will always be like, oh, the Air Force, they took their own plane in here, and Coach Kaz was the pilot and flew them in himself. And it's like, no, that's not true at all. We actually have crews, we have pilots. Yes, Kaz did fly, but that was his past. So now he pulls strings and gets crews and gets us rides on pretty badass planes.
I love it, man. But now we know he can't post on social media anymore and make us think he's flying the plane.
Correct.
So tell us here, man. I'm a huge fan of what the academies have to offer. I think anybody who knows anything about the academies is a huge fan, obviously, of what they have to offer in terms of going to the next level with your education. However, we also know the battle in recruiting is going to be, well, does this mean I have to go to war? I don't want to go overseas and battle once I graduate. So can you break it down for me a little bit?
Sure. For all the academies, it's a $500,000 full ride scholarship, and it's guaranteed success for the rest of your life. There's a lot of really, really nice perks about any of the academies, not just the Air Force Academy, United States Naval Academy, West Point, wherever, somebody decides to go, there's a lot of really great benefits that go along with it. With that being said, it's a $500,000 full ride scholarship. You're going to receive an Ivy League caliber education on steroids. And what I mean by that is, you're going to get this world-class degree, world-class education. But on top of that, we're going to throw you out of an airplane. You're going to have 5 solo jumps here at the Air Force Academy. You're going to get the solo gliders. Coach Kaz will strap you into an F-15, F-16, and you're going to put on a flight suit, G-suit, mask, helmet, visor, and go Mach 1 and pull 9 times your body weight. So you're going to get to do a lot of really cool things and have a lot of really cool experiences while you're at the academy, while getting this world-class Ivy League education. In terms of after graduation, that's one thing that we always get asked about is, what's the commitment? And we hate that word commitment because it's a guaranteed job. We've been 100% successful in getting kids jobs after graduation. Yes, you're going to commission as a second lieutenant in the Air Force, and some different things you can do is, yes, you can obviously fly, but there's a lot of other avenues in which you can work in the Air Force, whether it be logistics, whether it be finance, whether there's a lot of different options that you can have upon graduation from the Air Force Academy
that are not combat related occupations.
Sure. But at the same time too, you're coming to the Air Force Academy, you've raised your right hand. And this is one thing that's extremely humbling for me to be at the academy, is the fact that our guys have raised their right hands, saying they're willing to lay their life on the line for us. And even just saying that right there, it gives me goosebumps. So the stuff that they're doing in terms of training, both militarily, academically, even on the baseball field, is preparing them for what they're going to do after they walk across the stage and shake the President of the United States hand at graduation.
Right. And so when a kid does go to one of the academies, they don't get a choice going in and saying, well, I'll do it if I can get a non-combat position afterwards, correct?
Oh, the way in which that happens is they go through a process in which they rank actually what they want to do upon graduation. Um, if they are pilot qualified, we do have a shortage right now of pilots in the Air Force. So they are trying to push kids more um, to the pilot avenue. However, if they can go fly, they can do RPAs, and then they can go into other positions too as well.
It's such a unique situation for your student athletes there. How does the baseball and the serving the country kind of work together?
Sure. Well, with whatever you do upon graduation, you learn a lot on the baseball field. And it's the same with, the military and serving our country. As baseball players, in athletics in general, you learn a lot about teamwork. You learn a lot about leadership, cohesive unit, how to communicate. It's the same thing when you're serving your country and getting into the military. Again, once our guys graduate, they're playing a different game. Between the white lines of the baseball field is the friendly fields of strife. However, when our kids graduate, it's a different game, and that's going to lead, serve, and fight for our country. And the things that they learn on the baseball field, like I stated, from teamwork to communication to acting as a cohesive unit, those are all things that they need to learn and have a grasp of by the time they graduate, because again, they're going to be called to lead people. When they're deployed, or when they're at their base. So yeah, there's a lot of different things that you can learn on the baseball field that go hand in hand, certainly with baseball and serving our country.
When you talk about like going kind of past the graduation, what if a player gets drafted or has a shot to sign as an undrafted free agent at a pro level? Are they allowed to do that, or do they have to first serve their time?
Sure. So we actually have two guys that graduated in our 2019 class. Nick Reddy, he's been all over Twitter lately, squatting the boar that he killed, and then Jake Gilbert. But however, Nick got drafted last year by the Marlins, and then Jake Gilbert was our Friday guy last year, and he signed a free agent contract with the Cincinnati Reds. And they're both a part of a program that's called the World Class Athlete Program, which is basically a program for academy graduates that they can get into, in which they're training to make Team USA for the Olympics. So for right now, those guys are in this program and they're away playing, delaying their time inevitably. But at the same time too, it's great for us, because at the same time, you can come here, you can have this $500,000 full ride scholarship. You can have a great college baseball experience. You can still live out your lifelong dream of playing professional baseball. However, if professional baseball doesn't work out, guess what? You have a career. You have a career set for you, in which you're gonna come out of here making $65,000 a year right out of the chute.
For any kid to sign up to go to an academy, they have to be a natural leader, right? So then, to me, what comes to mind on the field is you have a lot of natural leaders in one place. So what's the chemistry like, and how do you kind of get a bunch of strong-minded young men to work together? A lot of leaders, kind of that saying, too many cooks in the kitchen, or too many chiefs,
Sure.
not enough Indians.
Sure. Well, Coach Kaz has done a great job of creating this leadership type of culture, in which our seniors are outstanding. Our seniors are going to go do great things for our country. But they didn't come in with all this leadership ability. Yes, did they have some leadership capabilities? Absolutely. But in order to learn how to lead too, you have to learn how to follow. And our freshmen currently right now have some really good guys on our team that they can idolize, and they can follow and do what they do. there's a little bit of a structure within our squadrons, and I know we're getting a little
No. This is great.
but
Explain it.
but you get more leadership as you grow throughout the academy. So like I said, freshmen, they come in.
Well, let me go back. What's a squadron?
Okay. A squadron is it's like your fraternity or sorority at any other school.
Okay.
We have 40 of them, and we have about 100 to 125 kids per squadron.
Okay.
So right now we're at roughly 4,000 kids at the academy. So it breaks down into about 100 kids per squad. And that's broken up basically by class rank. So it'd be about 25 freshmen, 25 sophomores, juniors, seniors, etc.
Okay.
And as you go through your squad, you'll get more freedom and you'll get more leadership opportunities. So when a freshman comes in, a lot of times, like I said, you have to learn how to follow before you lead. And so as a freshman, while you're here at the academy, and it's the same as the baseball, from a baseball standpoint, is, the thumb's going to be on you a little bit. People are going to be watching you, making sure you're doing everything, making sure you're okay. Making sure you're doing things the right way. And then once you get to your sophomore year, you're going to have a little bit more of that leadership opportunity in which you're going to be able to oversee 2 or 3 freshmen in your squadron. And that's making sure, their well-being is good, making sure their grades are good, making sure that they're getting involved, just doing other things other than just going to school and going back to their room and drinking a 2-liter Mountain Dew and playing Xbox. And then certainly your junior and senior year is where you kind of blossom. Your junior year, guys are able to go in and run basic training. One big stigma that everybody thinks is that we have drill sergeants out here running basic training. That's not the case. Basic training, survival training, those are all run by cadets. So that's a 20, 21, 22-year-old running a basic training, running a survival training for a 18-year-old. We also have, instructor pilots. We have flying programs down at the airfield in which, it's a 20, 21-year-old teaching the 18-year-old how to fly. Our jump program, it's the same thing. We have 20, 21-year-olds teaching that 18-year-old how to save their own life as they jump out of an airplane. So there's a lot of really cool leadership experiences and opportunities that you get while you're here at the academy. And then certainly we consider ourselves the best program at the academy. And that's self-proclaimed, of course.
Of course.
But Coach Kaz forces our guys to get into some leadership roles, whether that be their squadron commanders, which they are number one and they oversee their squadron of 100, 125 people. We've had guys that are group commanders, which a group is, oversees 10 of the 40 squadrons. So, that individual has, leadership and opportunities of overseeing 1,000 people. And this past semester, prior to us getting canceled, we actually had 2 kids interview for a wing commander position, which is they oversee the entire cadet wing. So it's the same thing in the baseball program. Again, you're growing, you're maturing, you're learning how to lead, you're learning how to follow. But at the end of the day, you're learning how to act as a cohesive unit as a team.
It's obvious there's a ton of great opportunities at the academies and at Air Force, and I'm a big advocate, and it really goes back to when I met you a couple years ago and you started to explain this stuff to me that I understood. And then I realized the battle it is when it comes to the baseball recruiting side, because the first thought of families is, oh gosh, I'm going to get strapped up and sent to war as soon as this experience is over. And that's not the case. Like, we have to tell families, like, look into the opportunities that are there. I mean, that's a battle you're facing, right?
Yep, absolutely. And it's funny because a lot of times too, kids don't know about the academies. They don't know what the academies have to offer. They think that all you're going to do is it's going to be like Officer and a Gentleman, and you're just running around with a rifle above your head saying, "I want to fly jets."
Right.
You're gonna have a drill sergeant in your face the entire time, yelling at you, telling you to do push-ups and pull-ups and all that good stuff.
That will
Yes,
happen from time to time, though, right?
yes, you will do that. Yes, and we're open about that. You will go through basic training. You will have somebody in your face. You will be doing push-ups. But at the end of the day, it's still school. And we have 4,000 of America's best and brightest. And the goal for everyone is to first and foremost graduate from the academy. But at the same time, too, you're not going to make it through the academy by yourself. You're going to have your upperclassmen, your peers that are helping you. They want you to succeed. They don't want to see anybody fail here. In
What
terms
is the?
of
I'm sorry to cut you off, but you're talking about some of the school stuff. What is the academic requirement to get in there? Like, where should a student be at range wise on testing and GPAs, or do they need AP classes, things like that?
sure, we won't look at a kid anything lower than a 3.7.
And is
And
that's the unweighted?
correct.
Okay.
And that's not like a 3.7 with just regular classes. It has to be honors, APs, all that good stuff. In terms of test scores, 27 on the low end, and a 1250. And again, it's kind of a sliding scale with depending on what their grades are and what type of classes they're taking as well.
This is not a university and a baseball program that has much wiggle room, is what you're saying.
Zero wiggle room.
Gotcha.
Zero.
Gotcha.
But at the same time too, and we do have options for kids that might want to be here at the academy. We do have a prep school, in which if your grades are a tick or two below where they need to be, we do have a couple prep school spots that we can offer out to kids. Junior colleges.
I'm sorry. Explain what a prep school is, though.
Okay, so we have the Air Force Academy Prep School. It's right on base, and basically for the kids that go there, it's like a gap year almost, in which they're going to go and they're going to take some of their prerequisites. They're going to understand the military lifestyle. They're going to learn. They're going to go through their own basic training. From a baseball standpoint, they will play with a fall club team here in Colorado Springs. So they're able to, still play, but it's another year for them to get bigger, faster, stronger, but while also taking, calculus, chemistry, English, just some of the basics that they're going to take here at the academy, and then learning all the military standards on top of that.
And as long as they do well in the prep school, are they guaranteed to get a spot at the academy the next year?
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha. And how often does it happen where you have baseball players go that route?
Actually, more frequently than you would probably think. We have 2 prep spots per year at the Air Force Academy Prep School.
Right.
So we fill those every year, and we've had actually a lot of success sending kids there. 2018, we graduated our shortstop. He was a prep school kid. He started at 4 years for us at shortstop.
Okay.
Our center fielder, closer, freak of an athlete, he was a prep school kid. He started in right field for us for 3 years and then moved over to center field this year. But he was another prep school kid. Our starting catcher this past year, who was a sophomore, he was another one. And, he was having an outstanding start to the year for us. So, it works out for us.
Yeah, that's awesome because, I know a lot of the programs that have developmental teams or JV teams, and those are great, but realistically, the upward mobility there, the percentages are not very high. So to hear that, hey, here's an opportunity to kind of start there, move up, that's awesome. Let's transition now. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, and we have junior college options too.
Okay, how does that work?
So that's a good question too. So for the junior college kids, if they do decide that the academy's for them, obviously they have to get the test scores, have the grades, and typically that's from high school. But we love actually having junior college kids just because they have 2 years of college baseball at a high level under the under their belt. And then they'll have 2 years with us here at the academy. And for them, it works out great because if after their sophomore year at the academy, because again, when they come here, they have to start over academically as freshmen, but they can get drafted after their athletically senior year. They can go and play and not have to worry about getting into the world-class athlete program. And they'll be out of the Air Force and they don't have to worry about paying anything back. However, so that's a good little deal for those guys. But again, however, if the draft doesn't work out, again, they have a career waiting for them. Depending, our second baseman, who he's a senior this year, he had 3 years of eligibility with us. So he played his freshman, sophomore, junior year at the academy. And then his senior year, he got on with us as a student assistant and actually coached first base for us. He's a special kid too, in which his aspirations, his end all goal, is he wants to be the president of the United States.
Yeah, well, that's he's on track going to that academy.
Sure.
That's for sure. So let's transition a little bit to the baseball side. So if we got a kid that is like, yes, this academy lifestyle is for me, what kind of baseball player fits the system out there?
Well, first and foremost, you have to have the grades, have to have the test scores. That eliminates a lot of kids. But at the same time, too, we're in the Mountain West Conference, which is one of the best Division I mid-major conferences in the country, and we want to get the best kids that we possibly can. We're going up against San Diego State, San Jose State, UNLV, Nevada, New Mexico. So I mean, there's some legit teams. Fresno State, legit teams in our league, and yes, we want to have success on the baseball field. We want to get those high caliber players, but at the same time too, we want to make sure that it's a fit from a character standpoint, from an academy standpoint as well.
You are the pitching coach there. When you're looking for a young guy, what are some of the key things you look for? Are you one of the velo guys, or is that not really your style? Are you looking for quick arms, body types? Like, what is it that's important to you?
First and foremost, pitchability. Just the ability to throw strikes and mix. Yes, the guy that lights up the radar gun is really cool, and yeah, it's appeasing to everyone. But at the end of the day, if you can locate your fastball to both sides of the plate, you can spin a breaking ball, or have some sort of feel for a secondary pitch, and then that's stuff I look for. On top of that, obviously, you look at the body. Is that kid going to project? Does the arm work? That all comes into play too. But first and foremost, just the ability to throw strikes, and the ability to pitch.
What are some of the key characteristics of a hitter or a defender out in the field, not behind the plate, out in the field for right now that you're looking for?
Yeah, so doing something different. Hustling on and off the field. Running a hard 90 down the line. Just those little things like really stand out to us. Playing with high energy. Kaz is a high energy guy. We're a high energy team. Those type of players are the ones that are the guys that stand out for us. Obviously, from a positional standpoint, we can break that down. But from an overall position player standpoint, the guys that bring the energy, that play the game the right way, that play with, we have a mantra of attack, and that's in everything we do, in life, in baseball, militarily, academically. Play with that sort of mantra. Those are the guys that really stand out to us.
This whole project, Quarantine Coaches, is a social media endeavor, really. Do you use social media for recruiting, and how so?
Absolutely use Twitter, use Instagram as a recruiting source for us. It's great to look at your Twitter feed, to look at the Pitching Ninjas Twitter feed, and certainly seeing arms throw. it definitely generates and sparks some interest if there's something you like there.
So what is it that would stand out, that would spark some interest? Because like, how far can social media posts take you in the recruiting process?
So I think the social media posts can they can give you a good idea of what the kid has from a delivery standpoint, what the kid has from an action standpoint, and then it at least sparks the interest on our end to go out and see them. We will never commit a kid based on a Twitter video. We will go out and see every kid that we commit. So if there's something there that's interesting, it's like, okay, hey, we're gonna get in contact with that kid, and then on top of that, we're gonna do our best, or we're gonna do our job to get out and see that kid actually play.
To keep going along the social media front, and you mentioned Pitching Ninja, how do you use that platform to maybe help your own pitchers?
Sure. Well, the stuff that he's putting out is unbelievable. It's fun to watch. Certainly the big leaguers, but also the college guys that he's now putting on there, and showing actually how nasty some of their stuff is. It's funny because like I actually sometimes in bullpens I'll go stand, like act like I'm standing in, and I'll be like, "There's no shot. I'd even have a chance of hitting this."
Yeah.
With some of our guys, but especially certainly with the overlays that he does with all the different arms, that's stuff that we try to incorporate with our pitchers. But it is just certainly just showing how nasty and how hard it is to actually hit a baseball.
Right. I think that's one of the biggest takeaways for me is how hard the game really is. Like really just showing how hard the game is. Well, Coach Forrest, thank you so much for coming on here today. I was stoked about having you. You didn't disappoint, and I'm going to push this to everybody I can, because I think everybody needs to know about these academies. So thank you again for taking the time.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me on. It was a pleasure. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and tell Coach Kaz hello for all of us, and thank you for sending you.
For sure. Will do.
All right, man. See you later.
Take care.